Let me tell you about the day I realized my parents would never see me. I was standing on the steps of the state capitol building, holding a crystal plaque that read California Teacher of the Year, surrounded by cameras and education officials. The governor had just shaken my hand, and my father looked right past me, pulled out his phone, and said to my mother loud enough for the press to hear, "We should have gone to Vanessa's promotion dinner instead. At least that's a real achievement." But what happened after that? My name is Julia Chen, and I teach second grade at Lincoln Elementary in Sacramento. I've been teaching for 7 years, ever since I graduated from UC Davis with my credential. My parents, Richard and Patricia Chen, own a chain of luxury car dealerships across Northern California. Money has never been tight in my family. Expectations, however, have always been suffocating. My younger sister Vanessa is 26 and just made vice president at Goldman Sachs. She did her undergrad at Wharton, got her MBA from Harvard, and has been climbing the corporate ladder faster than anyone in her cohort. My parents talk about her the way some people talk about winning the lottery. She's their pride, their joy, their proof that their genes produced something exceptional. Me? I'm the daughter they introduce with a slight wince. Julia teaches elementary school, they say, like they're apologizing for a stain on expensive upholstery. We thought she'd go into business like her sister, but she wanted to work with children. The way they say children makes it sound like I chose to spend my days in a leper colony. When I found out I'd won the State Teacher of the Year award, I was in my classroom organizing construction paper for an art project. My principal, Mrs. Washington, burst through the door with tears in her eyes. "Julia, you did it! Out of 40,000 teachers in California, they chose you." I dropped the papers. My hands were shaking. This was the kind of recognition that could change a career, open doors to curriculum development, policy work, maybe even a position at the state level helping shape education reform. I called my parents immediately. My mother answered, "Hi, honey, can this be quick? We're at the Tesla dealership closing a big sale." I told her about the award. There was a pause. "Oh, that's nice, Julia. Very nice. Your father and I are proud. Listen, I have to go. The client is coming back. We'll talk later." That was 3 weeks ago. They hadn't brought it up since. The award ceremony was scheduled for March 15th at 3 in the afternoon. It was a big deal. The governor would be there, the state superintendent, about 200 education officials and journalists. Each award winner got to bring 10 guests. I invited Mrs. Washington, my teaching mentor Miss Rodriguez, a few colleagues, and my parents. I wanted them there. Despite everything, some pathetic part of me still hoped that maybe, just maybe, they'd show up and feel proud, really proud. Not the performative pride they showed their friends, but the genuine kind. The morning of the ceremony, my mother called. "Julia, slight problem. Vanessa's firm is throwing her a promotion celebration tonight. It's at this incredible restaurant in San Francisco, very exclusive. Her managing director will be there, some major clients. It's important for her career." I steadied myself against my kitchen counter. "Mom, my ceremony is at 3. It'll be over by 5:30. You could still make her dinner." "Well, your father and I want to help her get ready. Take some photos. You know how these things are. These connections matter, Julia. You understand." I understood perfectly. "The ceremony is kind of important, Mom. It's at the state capitol. The governor is presenting the award." "I know, sweetie. And we're so happy for you. Teaching is wonderful, really. It's just that Vanessa's career has so much riding on these networking opportunities. You make a difference in your classroom, but she's making decisions that affect millions of dollars, global markets. The scale is different." There it was. The scale is different. My impact on 30 children every year, 210 students over 7 years, thousands more if I continued teaching for decades, helping shape the humans who would inherit the world, was smaller in scale than my sister moving money around for rich people. "We'll try to stop by if we can," my mother said, "but don't hold the ceremony for us." They showed up 12 minutes before the ceremony ended. I was on stage when I saw them slip into the back of the auditorium. My mother wore the Chanel suit she saves for important business meetings. My father had on his Rolex, the one he bought himself when his dealership made some record-breaking sale. They looked irritated, like they'd been stuck in traffic, which they probably had been, driving down from San Francisco where they'd clearly spent the afternoon with Vanessa. Governor Martinez was mid-speech, talking about my innovative literacy program that had raised reading scores in my school by 43% over 3 years. She was describing how I'd stayed after school every day for 2 years, working with struggling readers, creating individualized plans, collaborating with families. My colleague next to me squeezed my hand. Mrs. Washington was crying again, and my parents were checking their phones. The ceremony ended. There was a reception in the Capitol Rotunda, with champagne and small bites. Photographers wanted pictures. The state superintendent wanted to discuss bringing me on as a consultant for a new early education initiative. A journalist from the Sacramento Bee wanted an interview about my teaching philosophy. And my parents stood by the appetizer table, looking at their watches. I walked over to them. My mother kissed my cheek, careful not to smudge her lipstick. "Congratulations, honey. That was lovely. The governor seems nice." My father handed me a card. "We're proud of you, Julia. This is a nice recognition." He said nice the way you'd describe a decent cup of coffee. Pleasant but forgettable. "Thank you for coming," I said, even though I wanted to scream. "Of course we came," my mother said. "We wouldn't miss this." "You almost did," I thought. "You tried very hard to miss this." The governor approached us. Governor Martinez had been a high school English teacher for 15 years before going into politics. She took education seriously, had built her entire campaign around supporting teachers. "You must be Julia's parents," she said warmly, extending her hand. "You must be so proud. Your daughter is extraordinary. The work she's done with her students is exactly what California needs more of." My father shook her hand. "Thank you, Governor. Yes, Julia has always been good with kids. She's very patient." "Patient?" The governor looked surprised. "I'd say she's revolutionary. The program she designed could be a model for the entire state." My mother smiled, that tight smile she uses when she's being polite but disagrees. "Well, Julia has always had a big heart. We're grateful she found something she enjoys. Our younger daughter Vanessa just made VP at Goldman Sachs. She's only 26. She's in San Francisco tonight, actually, at a firm celebration. Very prestigious." I watched the governor's face. Something shifted in her expression. "That's wonderful," Governor Martinez said coolly. "Though I have to say, I've always believed the people who shape our children's minds have the most prestigious job of all. Money comes and goes. The impact a great teacher has lasts forever." My father, oblivious to the temperature drop, continued. "Oh, absolutely, teaching is important. We just always thought Julia would do something more significant. She was so bright in school, top of her class. We hoped she'd go into business or law, something where she could really make her mark." I felt like I'd been slapped. The governor looked at me, and I saw pity in her eyes. She'd heard this before. She'd probably felt this before. "Mr. and Mrs. Chen," the governor said, her voice measured. "Your daughter just won the highest teaching honor in a state of 40 million people. She's made her mark. The question is whether you're willing to see it." My mother laughed uncomfortably. "Of course we see it. We're here, aren't we? We're very proud. It's just that teaching, while noble, doesn't have quite the same career trajectory as finance or law. Julia will always be comfortable, but Vanessa's path has more potential for real success." That word. Success. Like my 7 years of 14-hour days, summer lesson planning, buying classroom supplies with my own money, staying late to call parents of struggling students, celebrating when a kid who couldn't read in September was devouring chapter books by June. Like none of that counted as success because my salary had 5 figures instead of 6. Senator Richardson walked up. He was 72, had been in the state Senate for 20 years, and was one of the most powerful politicians in California. He was also a former 4th-grade teacher. "Julia," he said, hugging me, "I'm so damn proud of you." Then he turned to my parents. "You're Julia's folks?" My father straightened up. Networking mode activated. "Richard Chen. This is my wife Patricia. We own Chen Luxury Automotive." "I know who you are," Senator Richardson said flatly. I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. You think your daughter should have done something more significant than teaching? My mother backtracked. Oh no, Senator. You misunderstood. We think teaching is wonderful. I taught for 27 years before I came here, Senator Richardson said. Best thing I ever did. I had kids who went on to be doctors, engineers, artists, teachers themselves. I had one student who's now a federal judge. Another runs a nonprofit that's built schools in 12 countries. You know what they tell me when I see them? They don't remember the math problems I taught them. They remember that I believed in them when nobody else did. That I saw potential in them when they were just scared kids who thought they weren't smart enough. Your daughter does that every single day. And you're standing here, at her award ceremony, telling her it's not significant? My father's face went red. Senator, I think you're taking this out of context. We're proud of Julia. We're here, aren't we? We came to support her. It's just that we also have another daughter who's excelling in her field. And we're proud of both girls. We're just being honest about career realities. Teaching is a beautiful profession, but the financial ceiling is lower. The prestige isn't the same. Prestige. Senator Richardson said the word like it tasted bad. Let me tell you about prestige, Mr. Chen. I've been in rooms with presidents, tech billionaires, celebrities. You know who has the most prestige to me? The teacher who taught my grandson to read when everyone else said he had a learning disability and would never catch up. The teacher who noticed my niece was being abused at home and reported it, probably saved her life. The teacher who stayed after school every day for a year to help a kid whose parents were deported get through high school. Those people have prestige. Real prestige. The kind that matters. A small crowd had gathered. Other award winners, journalists, education officials. Someone was recording on their phone. My mother noticed and tried to smile. Senator, we're not saying teaching doesn't matter. Of course it matters. You're just embarrassed, the governor said quietly. She wasn't loud, but everyone heard her. You're embarrassed that your daughter chose a profession you consider beneath you. And you came here today, to her moment, and made sure everyone knew it. My father looked around, suddenly aware of the audience. This is inappropriate. We came here to support our daughter. You came here 2 hours late and spent the entire time talking about your other daughter, Mrs. Washington said. She'd been standing quietly nearby, but now she stepped forward. I've been Julia's principal for 5 years. Not once have I seen you at a school event. Not the science fair, where her class built a working model of the solar system. Not the literacy night, where her students read to their families. Not the morning she won the district's Teacher of Excellence award. But you showed up today because it was at the Capitol with the governor, because it looked good. And even then, you couldn't help yourselves. The journalist from the Sacramento Bee was writing furiously. Someone's phone was definitely still recording. My mother grabbed my father's arm. We should go. We have to get to Vanessa's dinner. And there it was. Even now, even caught, even publicly called out by the governor and a senator, they were leaving to go celebrate my sister. Wait, I said. My voice came out steady. Calm. I'd found something in the past 10 minutes, standing there watching my parents get exposed. I'd found clarity. Before you go, I said, I need to say something. I looked at them, really looked at them, maybe for the first time as an adult who'd stopped seeking their approval. I became a teacher because when I was 8 years old, Mrs. Patterson told me I was smart. Not just good at memorizing things for tests, actually smart, creative, capable of big ideas. She's the reason I believed I could do anything. She saw me when I felt invisible, and I wanted to be that person for other kids. I am that person for other kids. 30 kids every year who need someone to see them, believe in them, fight for them. My father started to speak, but I held up my hand. I'm not finished. I know you wanted me to make more money, have more prestige, be someone you could brag about at cocktail parties. And I'm sorry I disappointed you. But I'm not sorry I became a teacher. I'm not sorry I chose impact over income. I'm not sorry I spend my days with children instead of spreadsheets. And I'm done apologizing for it. The rotunda was silent. My mother's eyes were shiny. For a second, I thought maybe she got it. Maybe something had broken through. Then my father said, Julia, you're being dramatic. We've always supported your choices. We're here, aren't we? We've never stopped you from teaching. Supporting me would have been showing up, I said quietly. Supporting me would have been asking about my students, not changing the subject every time I mentioned my classroom. Supporting me would have been not telling everyone who'll listen about Vanessa's salary while introducing me as just a teacher. But you didn't support me. You tolerated me. And that's okay, because I don't need your support anymore. I have the governor, a senator, my principal, my colleagues, my students' families, and most importantly, I have myself, and all of us know what I'm worth. I turned to Governor Martinez. You wanted to discuss that consultant position. I'm very interested. When can we meet? She smiled. A real smile. My office Monday at 9? I'll be there. I looked at my parents one last time. Have a wonderful time at Vanessa's dinner. Tell her congratulations from me. And I walked away. Toward the superintendent who was waving me over. Toward Mrs. Washington who was beaming. Toward the journalist who wanted my story. Toward my life. The one I'd built. The one that mattered. I heard my parents leave. They didn't say goodbye. The next morning, I woke up to 47 missed calls. The video had gone viral. Someone had posted the entire confrontation on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Parents humiliate Teacher of the Year daughter at award ceremony was trending. The comments were brutal. People were finding my parents' dealerships, leaving one-star reviews. Would never buy from people who disrespect teachers. Imagine being this proud of your banker daughter but ashamed of someone who shapes young minds. The audacity to say teaching isn't significant. My phone rang. Vanessa, I answered. Julia, what the hell happened? She sounded stressed. Mom and Dad are freaking out. Their phones won't stop ringing. People are calling them out on social media. Some dealership clients are pulling business because they have kids in public school, and they're disgusted. Did you watch the video? I asked. Yeah, I watched it. And Jules, I need to tell you something. I'm sorry. I sat down. Vanessa had never apologized to me for anything in our lives. I'm sorry I never said anything, she continued. I knew how they treated you. I knew they used me as a weapon against you. And I let it happen because it felt good to be the favorite. It felt good to be celebrated. But watching that video, hearing what they said about you in public, at your award ceremony, that's not okay. That's never been okay. And I should have stood up for you years ago. I didn't know what to say. You're an incredible teacher, Jules. I've always known that. When I was in 5th grade and struggling with math, you spent your entire winter break helping me. You made it fun. You made me feel smart instead of stupid. You were 14 years old and already better at teaching than most adults. And I never told you how much that mattered to me. I was crying. I hadn't expected this. I'm calling Mom and Dad today, Vanessa said. I'm telling them they need to apologize. Really, apologize. And if they don't, they're not coming to any more of my work events, because I don't want to celebrate anything with people who can't celebrate you. We talked for an hour. She told me about the pressure of being the golden child, how exhausting it was to be perfect all the time, how terrified she was of disappointing them because she'd seen what happened when I did. We'd both been casualties of their expectations, just in different ways. The fallout continued for weeks. The governor's office released a statement supporting teachers and early childhood education. Senator Richardson introduced a bill to increase teacher salaries statewide, citing my work as proof of teachers' value. The Sacramento Bee ran a feature story about me, my classroom, my students. Parents from my school wrote letters to the editor. Miss Chen taught my son to love reading. Miss Chen called me at 10 p.m. because she was worried about my daughter's anxiety. Miss Chen spent $500 of her own money buying winter coats for kids in her class. My parents called eventually. My mother cried. She said she didn't realize how much she'd hurt me. She said she was proud. She'd always been proud. She just didn't know how to show it because teaching was so foreign to her. My father was quieter. He admitted that he'd measured success wrong, that he'd been thinking about optics instead of impact. I don't know if they fully understand yet. But they're trying. And that's something. 3 months later, I started my consultant position with the state education department 2 days a week, while still teaching the other 3 days. I'm helping design curriculum for California's new literacy initiative. It'll reach 500,000 students. Yesterday, I got an email from Governor Martinez. She's nominating me for National Teacher of the Year. The application asked me to describe my teaching philosophy in one sentence. I wrote, "Every child deserves someone who sees them, believes in them, and fights for them, because that's what changes lives." My parents are throwing me a party next month. Vanessa helped them plan it. It's just for me this time. No sharing the spotlight. They're inviting my colleagues, my students' families, education officials. My father asked if he could say a few words. I said yes, but told him if he mentioned Vanessa's job, I was walking out. He laughed. Then he said, "Julia, I'm going to spend the rest of my life making up for what I said at the Capitol. I'm going to tell everyone I meet about my daughter, the Teacher of the Year, not because it's prestigious, though it is, but because you're changing the world 30 kids at a time, and I was too blind to see how extraordinary that is." I don't know if he'll stick to it. Old habits die hard. I have the knowledge that every day I walk into a classroom and make a difference. I have second graders who hug me and tell me I'm the best teacher ever. I have parents who cry thanking me for helping their kids. I have colleagues who call me when they need advice. I have a governor and a senator who respect my work. And I have myself. Finally, fully, I have myself. That's the only validation I need. Where are you watching from, and what would you do if you were in my shoes? Would you have stayed silent to keep the peace, or stood up and let the truth land where it may? Drop a comment below. And if this story resonated with you, hit that subscribe button because there's more where this came from. This is Serene Drama Stories, reminding you that your worth isn't determined by who celebrates you, it's determined by the impact you make. And sometimes the quietest work creates the loudest echoes.